We're going to open the meeting. Reading of the meeting's notice, please.
The Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Erie, PA will meet in regular session on Wednesday, August 15th, 2018 in the auditorium at East Middle School, 1001 Atkins Street at 6 p.m. by request of the President, Frank Petrunger, Jr.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Feeney?
Here.
Mr. Harkins?
Here.
Mrs. McNair? Mr. Spagel?
Excused.
Mr. Titus?
Here.
Mrs. Alexandrovich? Here. Mr. Costello?
Here.
Mr. Fabrizi?
Here.
Mr. Petrunger?
Here. We're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance read by Mr. Wachner, followed by a moment of silence for Gertrude Zalotowski, retired cafeteria worker, passed away on June 12, 2018. Robert Korn, retired custodian, who passed away on June 14, 2018. Walter Wittrell, retired teacher, who passed away on June 19, 2018. Shirley Hodges, retired teacher, who passed away on June 29, 2018. Virginia Bolko, former teacher's aide, who passed away on July 20th, 2018. Pennsylvania State Representative Florindo Flo Fabrizio, former Erie School District employee, who held several positions, including teacher, guidance counselor, and learning center director, who passed away on July 24th, 2018. Attorney Harvey McClure, former Erie School Board director, passed away on July 28th, 2018. Charles Zabrowski, retired teacher, who passed away on August 8th, 2018. Molly Rogakowski, retired teacher, who passed away on August 8th, 2018. And Edwin Corky Dombrowski, retired principal, who passed away on August 9th, 2018.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to announce that the board met in executive session on Wednesday, August 8th, 2018 in conference room 3 of Dr. James E. Barker Leadership Center, 148 West 21st Street from 6:35 p.m. to 7:21 p.m. regarding personnel matters. And this evening, Wednesday, August 15th, 2018 in the library at East Middle School from 5:19 p.m. to 5:32 p.m. regarding negotiation personnel matters. Superintendent's report. Mr. Polito.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, it's hard to believe that the first day of school is less than 2 weeks away. Students will be back on Monday, August 27th. And I want to remind parents and students of our new schedule. The start time for elementary students and middle school students is 8 o'clock a.m. and the start time for high school students will be 8:40 a.m. Our bus schedules with EMTA and in-house were finalized today and will be available at our schools and online on Monday, August 20th. Many of our schools are holding open houses next week. The schedule is also located on our website. Also, please remember that student immunization records must be up to date and submitted to the school prior to the first day of school, or students will not be able to start classes. And all of this information and more can be found on our Back to School portal at www.eriesd.org/backtoschool. I would also like to remind parents to keep contact information updated with your child's schools. This is critical so that parents receive information in the event of emergency and for regular ongoing communication with the school and district. And speaking of communication, we're excited to announce an update on our district website. The new design is more user-friendly, is mobile-ready for viewing on mobile devices, and we encourage our parents and staff to continue to use this tool for communication and information. We're also just about ready to launch our district app for mobile devices. Look for more information on how to download it on our website later this month. We've also been aware that this month of some confusion and concerns with regard to the change in the dress code, especially the policy that removes hooded sweatshirts from the list of approved dress code items. We want to remind our students and family that this policy change was made as a safety measure, and we also want to be sure that the families understand that all other types of sweatshirts, sweaters, and warm clothing like that are permitted as long as they don't have hoods. Because of the financial concerns of many of our families, we are making available a number of district crew neck sweatshirts that can be exchanged for hooded ones. If your student is struggling with the new rule for any reason and feels they need to wear a sweatshirt, our middle and high school principals will have crew necks available at no charge in the school office. And finally, I'd like to recognize a few of our colleagues. First, Erie High teacher Greg Roberts successfully swam Lake Erie this summer and to date has raised over $1,300 for our athletic programs. Second, the Pennsylvania Department of Education has recognized Mrs. B. Habursky and Ms. Paulette Zagorski for their mentorship model they developed to enhance principal and teacher knowledge and use of the PVOS student growth data system. The department is actually sharing this model with other districts across the state as a best practice. And finally, congratulations to Mr. Tyler Titus. Mr. Titus has been appointed to the co-vice chair of the Governor Wolf's newly formed Pennsylvania Commission on LGBTQ Affairs. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Can I have a motion to accept? Motion by Mr. Cassillo. Second by Linda. I just don't want to mess up your last name. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, hearing of citizens. Persons desiring to speak for 5 minutes must submit their request in writing to the Secretary's office at least 1 week prior to the board meeting. All others may speak for 3 minutes. The 1 5-minute speaker, Mr. William McDonald. I don't see Mr. McDonald. We'll move on to 3-minute speakers. Please state your name and print name and address on the tablet provided on the podium. Do we have anybody who'd like to speak?
Before I do my 3 minutes, I have copies for John, Frank, Brian, Tyler, and Tim, but I also have extra copies for the other directors too.
I'll hand it over there.
Well, you were talking about people that passed away. Just want to let you know, Mayor Lou Tullio's niece, husband, my great uncle, Tony Carapi, passed away last week. And Vicky Carapi, for decades, has been an educator and teacher in the Erie School District. Good evening, Erie Public School District administration and fellow Erieites, parents, educators, and guardians. I'm proud to be born this way. Have you heard those words when your child comes to you? They want to tell you that they believe in themselves and loving themselves and love someone of the same sex. The special moment where one chooses to live their truth and not in fear of judgment. We are taught to love God's children, and we should treat them the way we want to be treated. There's a practice called conversion therapy that is harming and hurting our LGBT youth, not just here in the Commonwealth, but worldwide. This practice emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually causes a severe problem. The Pennsylvania Fairness Act is one legislation we must pass, but the gay conversion therapy ban, House Bill 1177, is another that has possibly fueled the passion for hope, faith, and love around the Commonwealth. This would cease all tremendous terroristic kind of practices and a false narrative of curing their sexuality. The Pennsylvania State Education Association and the American Psychological Association both support this ban and type of practice. Cities such as Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Allentown, Reading, Bethlehem, Doylestown, and State College have already passed similar bans. I've attached the following: the Human Rights Campaign 2017 State Equality Index, Erie's 2017 Municipal Equality Index. Our first index as a city from the Human Rights Campaign was in 2014 and 2016. We are ranked the lowest in the Commonwealth. The City of Reading's conversion therapy ban and your performance facts highlights of student achievement where it indicates about LGBT youth being harassed and bullied. Speaking of the PSA, I've attached a letter from Sam Tellerinko and EA Board of Directors in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania supporting that they just had an event where 8,000 signatures supported their new business item 121. The closest chamber of government that bans this is Erie County, New York. By the way, whenever I was a co-regional director for marriage equality for Pennsylvania in 2013 through 2014, they were starting this conversation. But now they're the Pennsylvania Equality Project with David Moore. They have a strong petition of 8,000 signatures supporting this ban. All I'm looking forward to is you at the school board to pen a letter to the city of Erie, to the Erie County, supporting this ban. If you believe it's time to pass this much-needed legislation for the LGBT youth in Erie to thrive and set up for the youth in the city of Erie or Erie County, let's unify together to create a thriving and safe region for them to love, live, learn, and pray. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak for 3 minutes? Yes? Okay. We'll get him after.
Do you want me to sign my name first or
Yes.
do that after?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Mr. McDonald, we'll let you come up after her.
Okay. My name is Sophia Mavica. I am a junior at Collegiate Academy. I was looking for some clarification on the new dress code. I have with me a hoodie I have purchased from the school itself for my women's chorus. Would a hoodie like this be allowed to be worn despite what the general rule states?
Not this year. We do have a ban on all hoodies because of some of the safety issues we've had across the district. But again, as I said in my superintendent's report, all the high schools and middle schools will be working with students to have an exchange program so that you could exchange that for something that is appropriate under the dress code.
I paid over $40 for this hoodie, though. Why can't I wear it when the school itself allowed me to purchase it?
Well, normally this isn't a back and forth here. This is just so you can express your opinion. We listen to it. Okay.
We'd be more than happy to meet with you afterwards to talk in more detail about the reasons for the change in the dress code, though.
All right.
We'll have someone meet with you right after the meeting, if you want to stick around. Mr. McDonald.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
I have a few issues. Of course, you know that when you see me here. My taxes went up. And it was my understanding that the governor had sent up $14 million, I think it was, to help us out. Is there any truth in that, or am I just picking for straws? Did he send up 14 million? Can you answer me, please? Yes or no?
Yeah, I was shaking my head, yes.
Okay, well, you know.
I know, but this isn't meant for a discussion back and forth.
I understand that too, but, you know, I just have a question I wanted to ask. Because it was my understanding that we're supposed to get away from the property tax, and they're supposed to have a sales tax on all garments sold or, you know, whatever. When you go to the store, you pay a sales tax that's supposed to take the place of the property tax. Is there any truth in that, I'm wondering? about the sales tax. Because, you know, our, our school tax is the highest tax. It's just, I don't know. There are some people that just can't, and it's mostly older folks, retired people. They got a set income, but your taxes keep going up. And the old folks don't have no kids in school. I was in Mississippi last year, and you don't have to pay no tax. When you get 65, you don't pay no more taxes. You know, land taxes and that. I just wish y'all would be a little bit more lenient on the old folks, because I done got old myself. I'm old. And them taxes kind of bothers me. I know if they bothers me, they got to bother other people. People just can't afford to keep taxes going up. They're losing their property. And that's not right. That's not right. You know it's not right. We done paid taxes all these years. We done scuffled to hold on to this property, this dump we got. Of course, most of us, the poor folks, live in the ghetto. You're paying a high tax there for that dump you're living in. It just don't make sense to me. Look like there should be some kind of way that you could kind of be more lenient on the old folks, because we could use it. You don't want to lose your property. You done worked off. When you get old and go to the home want to take your property. It doesn't make sense to me. And then when you go to one of them homes, you can't hardly breathe in there. You're smelling that urine and whatever else. Those people are sitting around, they don't take care of those people for what they're getting paid for. It doesn't make sense. And you all should be looking in on that yourself. I went to this home, Golden Living, I think it was. My gosh, it smells so bad up there. People are paying all of that money, and they're not getting no good treatment. Some of those people, they can't go to the bathroom themselves. Some of them got them diapers on, but those diapers should be changed. They could be treated better than that. They're human beings. They're just like you. You're gonna get old someday if you keep on living. I promise you that. Some of you won't make it as far as I am. I'm 85. I'm 85. And I feel 100 sometime, and then I feel young. But I thank God. I thank him every time I think about how good he's been to me. I'm not preaching to you, but I'm just expressing myself. Some of y'all don't even think about God, but I think about him all the time. Because I remember when I was coming up, times was hard. I come up on welfare.
Mr. McDonald, your time's up.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
But
We thank you for your opinion, though.
well, I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Next time I'll get to my points, because I'm not halfway there. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak for 3 minutes? No, we'll move on. Any reports of committees or liaisons?
Mr. President?
Yes.
So with the land bank, at our July meeting, it was reported that through the efforts of Councilman Witherspoon and through the efforts of Councilman Mirsky, the land bank was awarded a $5,000 grant from the city of Erie to help with some clerical work that we're doing with the land bank. We are also working on intergovernmental agreements now with both the school district and with the county, and we'll be meeting with Mr. Pernicki and Superintendent Polito in the near future to answer any questions that they have about those agreements. On my vocational committee, I just wanted to compliment or thank the Penn State Master Gardener Association. This summer, they were at the 10 elementary schools facilitating lessons with teachers. Some of them were actually teaching lessons, working in the gardens. They will be at the open houses next week to meet with the families and talk to them about our garden initiative. I've also been working with Ms. Habersky and Doreen Petrie from Collegiate Academy, also Dan Dahlkemper, who's on the vocational committee on a K through 12 horticulture pathway. So that's in the works, and the Penn State Master Gardeners will be a part of that. And then finally, today I was able to attend the House Democratic Policy Committee hearing on the topic of technical education and career readiness. The panelists were Dr. Fred Walker, Joe Tarasovich, and our own Pam Makowski, Director of Career and Technical Education and Adult Education for Erie Public Schools. Just wanted to compliment Pam Makowski. She did an outstanding job, and she represented us very well. One of the things that they're issues that we need to look at within our own career technical training is that 50% of our workforce in the areas of plumbing, electricity, the people that work at the cracker plant in the Northwest region are set to retire in the next several years. So I think it's important that we continue to focus on career and technical education and career readiness, and I'm very thankful that we have somebody of the caliber of Pam Makowski leading us.
Thank you. Go ahead, Tyler.
As the community liaison, I had spoken with several families recently. A lot of the concerns were brought forth tonight just about the hoodie stuff, and we talked about it at the board. So I commend the board, just for hearing and talking with everybody just about this and hearing the students out. But what I wanted to call, again, compliments to is I had several students come to me over the past 3 or 4 months just talking about their concerns or their fears, I guess, about the physical education. And B had helped me set up a meeting just to talk with our physical education department. And I was really blown away by how trauma informed, how ahead of the game they are. And I was happy to know that they're going and they're taking the program that they have created and they're going to go out and teach other schools, that we are a model for them. And I do think that it's important for us to note that our physical education department, especially with the aquatic element being added, is going above and beyond to make sure that kids feel comfortable, to make sure that kids feel safe, not just kids who are dealing with gender identity stuff, but kids who are dealing with trauma backgrounds or have body dysphoria or other things that they're going through. That I really can't sing enough praises for that department for doing that. So that I just kind of wanted to let that out and be known that I really do appreciate the work that they have done. So thank you again to B.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I have some information I'd like to share with your permission, but it's not an official committee report.
That's all right.
When I was young, there was a book, he was called Erie's historian. His name was John Carney, and he wrote several books, one about politics, one about saga of Erie sports, where he chronicled all of the great achievements of great Erie sportsmen many years ago, back in the days long before us. And then he also had one called Tales of Old Erie. And I read those books when I was very young, which was a long time ago now. But included in there was the name of a guy, William du Maurier. And I had an awareness of him, but I'd long forgotten it. And I went to the Jefferson Society a week ago, and I didn't even realize that was the same guy I had read about. But anyway, this presentation was about William du Maurier. And the title of the presentation was Erie's Forgotten Educator and Servant Leader. And the woman who presented was Ann Silverthorne, an Erie resident, an Erie native. And she had come across a book of poetry that this man had written, and she found it at a garage sale with a note on the inset that said, if anyone finds this, please return it. She found it long after his death, but he put that in there because it was personal to him. She found that book, I guess the word is, it was serendipity. She found it and from then on, she spent 10 years researching this guy's life because reading the poems that he wrote, she just got fascinated with his story, and she really dug into the history. And I won't take up too much time to say everything that I heard, but it was fascinating. He wasn't born in Erie. He was from upstate New York, and he grew up on a farm, and his original mission was to be a preacher. I think he was a Presbyterian. But he got hired in Erie, Pennsylvania as a teacher at the Erie High School that used to be on the corner of 10th and Peach, the southeast corner of 10th and Sassafras, excuse me. And it was, as I recall, a 5-story building. It later became Central High School, then it became Tech High School before the new Tech Memorial was built in 1960. Anyway, he taught at the original Erie High School, and a few years later, Academy High School opened in 1919, and he was hired to teach there. And from then on, that was around the time, maybe a year or two prior to the stadium being built. And the city had its big flood in 1915. Academy opened in 1920, or 1919. In 1920, the Mill Creek Tube enclosed the creek that runs underneath it. And then there was a drive to create a stadium. And this William du Maurier led the effort to create and fund the Erie Veterans Memorial Stadium, which was dedicated on Armistice Day in 1917. I'm sorry. I'm going to get too hung up on details and miss the point. He was a teacher, he was a counselor, and he was a poet, and he was a fundraiser. He led the effort to establish the stadium, and once that was done, they took a look at the property where Roosevelt Middle School is now, and they wanted to have an athletic field there, and it became Ainsworth Field, but there was plans that Mrs. Silverthorne showed at the presentation that detailed something very different than what Ainsworth ended up being. That in itself was fascinating. But anyway, he played a major role in the establishment of Ainsworth Field, although he was shooting for something different. John Carney, that historian, credited this man, William du Maurier, with putting Erie sports on the map. He was around at the time when high school sports were being established and chosen, and some great coaches. There was Ock Anderson, and his brother was Gus Anderson, for whom McDowell football field is named. Ainsworth himself. There was all these big guns in Erie's past. Academy High School was new, and he established and directed the Academy Choir. And outside of that, he was involved in choral activities in the community. He initiated debate clubs, programs at Academy High School, established yearbooks, there hadn't been any, and he had a role in vocational education. When Ms. Silverthorne made the presentation, there's a quote that she didn't attribute to him, but she, in her thinking about him, how she viewed him, thought this was a quote worth saying. It's not long. The quote is, "It is people that count. You want to put yourself into people. They touch other people, these, others still, and so you go on working forever." That wasn't his quote, but this Ann Silverthorne thought that fit him, and there's others that I won't mention at the moment. But this guy was a giant in establishing things that we've taken for granted, and I don't know where it'll go from here, but I spoke to her niece yesterday, and I suggested that maybe Mrs. Silverthorne would like to make a presentation to us. But I think it behooves us, and we should find a way to honor this guy, because when we honor such people, we make students who walk the halls at the schools aware that people like this walk the halls where they are, that they can aspire to do things, and that some of these things that we take for granted, somebody envisioned and worked to make them happen. And as I said, if you unplug this man from some of those things that we've taken for granted, the choir, the poetry, the Ainsworth, the stadium, all of those things, we'd have a very different, maybe they would have happened anyway, maybe at a different time in a different way. But anyway, this guy is a giant in our school district's past. And I'll stop there. But anyway, he wrote this poetry that grabbed her, and it really does grab you. And that's what caused her to look into who this guy was and what made him tick. And it was a fascinating story. And as I said, I'm going to ask her niece to invite her to one of our subsequent meetings to explain a little more. And I hope someday we can find a way to acknowledge this guy and memorialize him. I think sometimes we hand out memorials pretty cavalierly, and sometimes we dilute the honors that we want to bestow on people. But here's a guy that shouldn't be overlooked, and that's all I wanted to do was share that story, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to accept.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Harkins,
Second?
second by Ms. Feeney. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? There is no unfinished business. We'll move on to new business.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Harkins?
I move we adopt the new business item 6 in its entirety, along with the supplemental new business, that's item 7, it's in its entirety.
Motion by Mr. Harkins, second by Mr. Cassillo. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Feeney?
Yes.
Mr. Harkins?
Yes.
Mr. Titus?
Yes.
Mrs. Alexandrovich? Mr. Castillo?
Yes.
Mr. Fabrizi?
Yes.
Mr. Petrunger?
Yes. Approval of the minutes from June 20th, 27th, 2018.
Move we approve them.
Motion by Mr. Harkins,
Second.
second by Linda. She beat you. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bills and payroll.
Move we pay them as presented.
Motion by Mr. Harkins,
Second?
second by Mrs. Feeney. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Feeney?
Yes.
Mr. Harkins?
Yes.
Mr. Titus?
Yes.
Mrs. Alexandrovich? Mr. Castillo?
Yes.
Mr. Fabrizi?
Yes.
Mr. Petrunger?
Yes. Report of the secretary. To a motion to accept the report.
So moved.
Mr. Cassillo,
Second.
second by Mr. Harkins. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Feeney?
Yes.
Mr. Harkins?
Yes.
Mr. Titus?
Yes.
Mrs. Alexandrovich? Mr. Castillo?
Yes.
Mr. Fabrizi?
Yes.
Mr. Petrunger?
Yes. Award on bids. We have one award for a bid for 2018-2019.
Move we award them as recommended.
Motion by Mr. Harkins,
Second.
second by Mr. Titus. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Feeney?
Yes.
Mr. Harkins?
Yes.
Mr. Titus?
Yes.
Mrs. Alexandrovich? Mr. Castillo?
Yes.
Mr. Fabrizi?
Yes.
Mr. Petrunger?
Yes. Is there any other matter?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Fabrizi.
I just want to say this is the time of year when the schools are being prepared, and many of our employees are working very hard right now to get things ready for the kids. And I just want to acknowledge that fact and thank them for all their work. The teachers are getting ready, the non-instructionals are cleaning up things, and the buses are making their runs. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and thank them for their diligence. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I had the opportunity to participate and serve Erie last week, or a week and a half ago, over at Piper Burley. I just want to thank the Erie community for all of their efforts, and particularly Marcus Atkinson for organizing, Erie Insurance, who's been a great community partner for over 31 years with Piper Burley. The work that was done in that building is just incredible, and I encourage everyone to go over and take a look. There's beautiful murals that have been on the walls upstairs that the students voted on. There's a planetary mural on the one wall in one wing, and then in the other wing there is a mural of this downtown area of Erie, which is absolutely fantastic. A.J. Noyce was the artist who designed it. And then in the library, there also is a beautiful mural and a special reading area that was built. So again, it's just wonderful how great our community is, and that our community wants to give our students hope and a place where they are excited to come and learn. So it was an honor to work with those people.
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, I would like to say that, I mean, I received a lot of emails from kids about the hoodie situation, and I just want them to know that we don't sit up here as a board and just make split decisions. We have long conversations. There was a committee formed by administrators, principals of all the buildings, and a discussion, and we actually had discussions on this many times. We're not just sitting up here just making snap decisions. I mean, everybody cares about what goes on in our schools that are up here. Same with the taxes. We all live in a city. We all, if taxes are raised or if taxes go up or whatever may happen, we all are affected by it. I think sometimes people forget that we're just like everybody else, even though we sit behind this table up here. So I just wanted everybody to know that we do take every issue that comes in front of us and have very long, sometimes, discussions and a difference of opinions, but in the end, come together and make the best choice for the kids in the schools. So that's all I wanted to say.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
You're right, and I agree with you, and I'd like to say that my support of the hoodie change is based on the fact that I think it's common sense. It doesn't say that the students can't wear them, they just can't wear them during school hours in class and in the halls between classes. So if they're cold, there's sweaters and sweatshirts without hoods, and there's it's done with the intent to make the school safer and less of a threat to somebody with bad intentions. So that's the basis on which I support it, and I think that's true of all of us. And as far as what Mr. McDonald was getting at, yes, we did get $14 million, but it was far short of what we justified to them we should have gotten, and which has been denied us for a period of many years. And the governor did want to replace the property tax with the sales tax, but he just didn't get support in the state legislature to do that. That's where that decision is made, not here.
Thank you. And don't forget to send someone to talk with her. So at this point, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Moved by Mr. Casillo. Second by Mr. Fabrizi. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.